Let's go to outer space. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can do applique using heat transfer vinyl. For those of you unfamiliar with applique, it's basically a running stitch to set an outline for a shape or a letter, and then putting down another piece of fabric or material and doing a satin stitch right over where that guideline was put with the previous running stitch. It's basically a way of doing garments and other items without introducing a ton of density with the whole stabilizer problem. Because as you know, if you're doing garments that are going to be washed, you need to be able to use a stabilizer that is a cutaway. If you use tearaway, that's on you, boo. For this project, you're going to need the garment that you're going to be putting the applique on, some lightweight cutaway stabilizer, or whatever cutaway stabilizer you feel is best for the material you're going to be doing. Since this is sweatshirt and it's already pretty thick, I'm going to just use this really nice featherweight cutaway. You need your hoop for the design and thick, sturdy HTV like this metallic I'm going to use, or a glitter vinyl, which works even better. The design that I'm doing says space, because if I did Star Wars, I'd get sued. And I don't want to get sued. Not by Disney. Let me give you a quick rundown of the steps we're going to take in order to get this garment made. The first step, of course, is going to be hooping our garment and having it ready for the embroidery machine. The second step is adding the design to the embroidery machine, and if you're using a multi-needle machine, you're going to want to put a stop command right after that first thread color. If you have a single needle machine, you're fine. Don't worry about it. I'm a little jealous of that, but whatever. Third, we're going to set it to go and finish that first color. That first color is just going to be a running stitch that's going to outline where you're going to place the heat transfer vinyl. When you place the vinyl, you're going to want the cool side up, the side that you want to see and be visible, and you're going to peel away the protective plastic from it because you definitely don't want to have that permanently adhered to your garment. Then you're going to set it to go again, and it's going to do the second color that's going to produce a lovely satin stitch along the outside. Once that's all done, you can remove it from the hoop and then bring it back into your crafting space and use the heat press. That's going to basically do that last minute bit where it needs to keep that vinyl down on the garment. So let's get started with the hooping. I'm using a Mighty hoop, which is a magnetic hoop, and it is the 8x13 size. So I've got the base of my hoop, and then I have my stabilizer that I cut out to fit just a little bigger than the hoop itself. So I'm going to take this, and this is one of the tricks that I have. So you can actually get frames for the Mighty hoops to hold the stabilizer while you're hooping. I don't have that for this particular frame, so I like to just use painter's tape, and it's just to keep it still so that I know that it's going to be on here and not shift on me, and then I have an area that's not actually stable. So you don't want to pull it too tight, because then it'll just rip itself if it's a very lightweight one like this one. I'm just going to put the painter's tape on there like that, and that's quite literally just to hold it for me while I'm hooping. So another thing to note, now that I've put the painter's tape over it, is the larger tab that's sticking out. So the taller tab is going to be the front of a Mighty hoop. You might not have to worry about this if you're using a traditional hoop, but for the Mighty hoop users, the front needs to go toward the neckline, and the reason for that is because you have to go over the free arm, and you're not going to get enough horizontal movement if you put the neck hole toward the machine. So you want the neck facing away from the machine. And of course, if you want, you can, wrap these underneath and have them stable as well, but I think I'm going to be all right with this. So I'm just going to take the hoop and open up the sweatshirt and slide this in. Sorry, I can only talk and do one thing at a time, and so explaining that and then doing the thing at the same time, it's actually really hard. I don't know why. Okay, and then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to flatten out the stabilizer. that, yes, I probably should have just like stuck it down, but it's fine. It's whatever. Okay, now I'll get this laying somewhat flat. And of course I can go in up here too, just to smooth out the stabilizer. And then it's great to use these Echo Smarts because I have the triangle here and I can just use that to kind of mark my center. But otherwise, one trick for marking the center is literally just to fold it in half and then put a mark in where you want the center line to be with something that will disappear and not remain permanent. So don't use a freaking Sharpie, okay? I'll just use the cutting mat and I'll pull this forward gently, and then I'll use the straight line of that tab to just move this guy and get it nice and level, and then I don't have to worry about it. And I'll do one more check. It feels like there's a lump in there. Remember to check monthly. And then, yeah, I'll smooth that out, get it laying pretty flat. And then we go, shazam! And there you go. So now it's hooped and I can basically put space all the way across here. Now we're gonna go to the workshop with the hooped sweatshirt and the HTV so that we can do the embroidery on my Ricoma. Oh yeah, and if you're wondering why it's not upstairs, it's because it weighs a lot and I don't hate my husband that much. I've loaded the design into the machine and programmed a stop command after the first color. Now it will create a long running stitch to mark where the vinyl will be placed. I've also left this clip running at its actual speed so you can see just how fast the Ricoma can run and increase productivity. If your machine has the ability, move the hoop into applique position. This will slide out the hoop and make it more accessible to you for measuring the area for the vinyl and reduce waste. For traditional applique with fabric, this also makes it a lot easier to trim after you've tacked down the fabric. I also like to use a little bit of basting spray on the wrong side of the vinyl to make sure it stays put while being stitched. After spraying, gently lay the HTV shiny side up on the garment, making sure you've covered all of the running stitches from the first color. Now for the fun part, and by fun I mean absolutely maddening. Use your fingernails to flick at one of the corners until the protective plastic is separated from the vinyl. Hold that small bit of vinyl down and gently peel away the plastic. Don't throw that plastic away though. We're gonna need that when we take this to the heat press in the final step. Resume stitching the design and enjoy the sweet, sweet tones of the embroidery machine making those lovely satin stitches. Once it's finished the second color, just remove the hoop and go back to your work area. All right, it's done embroidering, so now we can move on to the next step. So for this part, you're gonna really carefully need to rip up the vinyl, but only on the outside. So it's kind of like the inverse of weeding, or not. But be careful in doing this because it's been perforated on all sides. The thing is, we have to remove all of this before we can press. Otherwise, this will end up being part of the permanent design and kind of go against the whole point of being an applique. So just go around it and gently remove it, taking a little bit of cuts in there if you need to, just to ensure you're not going to rip up anything here. And that is going to be that. I'm going to speed this up real quick so you guys don't have to basically watch me do this for the next 10 minutes. Now that that's done, we can very carefully remove the hoop. So you can see there are some bits that are along the inside edge of the S here that have actually perforated and pulled up. But once we do the heat press, it's going to kind of all lay down and be nice and flat. Okay, let's get this going. I am gonna do this at 325 for 10 seconds, see how it's looking, and then possibly do it a second time. I mean, it's kind of like salt. You can add too much, so I like to do a little at a time when it comes to the heat transfer vinyl. So while that's heating up, I'm gonna go ahead and get this ready, and I'm basically using a secondary pad to put underneath so that there is a really firm grip on this, or rather good separation in case the collar or any of the seams that are like on the sides and in the armpit area would cause it not to press it down enough and make that heat transfer vinyl adhere. So I'm going to slide that underneath here, and Now I have to put the plastic sheet back over. I didn't throw this away. Like I said, you need to keep it. So I'm gonna put this back on, the sticky side down, on top, and that's to protect that heat transfer vinyl from melting on my Teflon sheet. And I will still apply a Teflon sheet. It's just this way is going back to the way that it was, as if I was just going to be pressing this straight up to a sweatshirt without the applique. Cool, it's ready. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that out, and I'm gonna slide this in. Just set that there, and make sure that collar is tucked down. Everything is laying flush, so that means I need to take this tape off of there because it's causing a little bump. Throw that away. Okay. Protect it with the Teflon sheet, always. And now I'm going to slide that in there, and we're going to give it a good press. Wicked. Okay, now we can take it out. And of course, turn that off because there have been times where I've left it and it's not fun. It does auto turn off after a while, but it does still scare me because I have cats and kids. Oh, that's so cool looking. A little wrinkly. That might be a result of the type of vinyl that I used because it is more of like a, I don't know, like the iridescent style of vinyl. So that means that it's going to catch light with every tiny pinch. But let's take a look. Oh yeah, this looks really good. I'm just gonna gently peel this plastic off to make sure I pressed well enough that nothing's pulling away. It should all be affixed to the sweatshirt now. Oh my God, this looks so cool. That's looking pretty darn cool. Now, of course, the next step is going to be to cut away the stabilizer that's on the inside. But of course, I don't think I need to show you that step. Thanks for joining me in this video's project. I really appreciate it. Let me know if you have any alternative methods other than the two that I cited in the video. I would love to hear it. The comment section is wide open below. Just don't ask to see my feet.